Hello, look at you. Look at you. You've grown. Yeah, last year was the last time we met, I believe, and you were yay big, I believe. I don't really remember, of course, because I was jet lagged and drunk. I'd like to thank the organizers once again for putting me on dead last when it's, I don't know, 4 a.m. in my brain. I did fly in from London on Wednesday, and I think they thought by getting me in a little earlier I would adjust. But that only works if you don't then take me out to the bar every night and then keep me up. I was up until 7 this morning. Got 2 hours of sleep because then there was that great alarm in the hotel that was like everybody just don't do anything. Attention, attention. Everything's probably all right. What was that? I don't know what's happening. I'm a bit sleep deprived. I'm probably going to start hallucinating. I think I already am. Earlier I had this hallucination that P.Z. Myers was on stage trying to get a woman to have sex with him. That didn't happen, did it? That's the one, that's like the thing, I always, at each of these conferences, I always pick up one really interesting fact that I learn. And at this conference, it's definitely been never play poker with P.Z. Myers. Because if you win, he tries to impregnate you. If you lose, ditto. So oh, I'm sorry, PZ. Where are you? So yeah, I was trying to think of what I would talk about tonight. I've been touring around doing a talk called "Don't Be a Dick." I did it for the Copenhagen Atheist Conference back in April. The basic idea was I'm going to be at a conference with Randy and Richard Dawkins and P.Z. Myers, and what am I going to say about atheism that they don't say better? Like, hey, everybody, there's still no God. Okay, good night. So it was really just, it was about interpersonal relationships and how to, keep friends and family around you who might be believers and still get along. And then a few months later, a friend of mine gave a talk at another conference. Not going to name any names. He also has an asteroid named after him, smaller. And he also gave a talk called "Don't Be a Dick," and his was more about like the broader movement and whether or not we should be nice as a rule. And the thing is, I disagreed entirely with him, entirely. But people would see that I was giving a talk called "Don't Be a Dick," and they thought I was doing the same thing. And so I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that talk. And also, the last time I did it in Glasgow, the next day I ended up getting really drunk with all of Glasgow and going to a Hare Krishna meeting. And it's a terrible story where I was just an utter dick. And then I realized that I am, in fact, a dick. And I should just embrace it, And to give you an example, when I got into town here, JT informed me that I would have my own handler, which is pretty sexy, actually. I've never had my own handler, and so I immediately decided to abuse her. Because what's the point of having a minion if you can't have a little fun? And so I told JT this. I said, so, I can ask her for anything. He goes, yeah, anything. I said, okay. So I came up with a list of things I would ask, and it would be like a game. And JT really liked this idea. We made a bet, and the bet was if, her name's Cassie, and if Cassie was to, yeah, a round of applause for Cassie. The bet was if Cassie were to fulfill or attempt to fulfill my every request, I won. And if at any point she refused or caught on to the fact that I was just screwing with her, then JT would win. So, the list was things like, I started out small, like very specific Starbucks orders and things like that. And then just randomly eggs. I need some eggs. And then when she got the eggs, I was like, no, Cadbury eggs. And then somebody told me that Springfield is famous for cashew chicken, but I'm a vegetarian, so I asked her to find me vegetarian cashew chicken. She hasn't gotten it yet, but she swears she found it, so I think that's what I'm having for dinner tonight. And then Friday night, or Thursday night, I think, I asked her for a box of condoms. And then Friday, I asked her for a pregnancy test. And then Saturday, I asked her for a list of pharmacies that would give me Plan B. And she's been on top of it. There's very little. I asked her for a souvenir from Springfield that had Jesus, like, about it somehow. And she found me, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but it's amazing. And it had to be under $5. So she got this for $2, and it's got a verse from 2 Corinthians on it and a rainbow gun shooting bullets. So yeah, and the thing is, though, right after I went over all this with JT, he loved the idea. He thought it was great. And I went back, I was talking to a friend of mine, and he said, yeah, that's really funny, so long as you don't actually do it. And I said, don't ruin my fun. Come on, this is funny. He's like, I would hate you if you did that to me. I would probably storm out, especially the part where you reveal it all to me in front of a giant crowd of people. And so I thought about it, and I was like, you know what, he's right. So the next day, when I met Cassie, I pulled her aside, and I explained the whole thing to her. And,
hate all of you.
She just texted JT to say she quits, and she hates him.
Does this mean I win?
Technically, it means you win, and to fulfill the requirements of the bet, I'd like to encourage you all to buy those stupid calendars and the pins and stuff, all right? Cassie is a champ, though. She'd come up to me, she's like, I told him you asked for eggs. Oh, and she came up to me at the bar the other night, and she goes, Rebecca, here are those peanut M&Ms you asked for. And I looked at him, I said peanut butter. And she walks away, and JT goes, you were so good. Yeah, that's right. He did say I have no conscience. That's true. That's true. So anyway, Christmas. Where am I? What's happening? Is this the gun show? I wanted to talk about Christmas because it's November, it's that time of year, and I enjoy talking about Christmas. I've never done a talk about Christmas before. This is the very first time. And last year I did this, the feminism talk and went over really well, but this year you guys got a bunch of awesome feminists here, so I know how to do it. So, and those talks were amazing, so I'm just gonna talk about Christmas. I want to start by showing you this. This is a family picture. I am in this picture. Thank you. This is my middle brother Kevin, who's obviously at that age where, whatever, I'm sitting on a fat guy's lap and it's awesome. I'm getting a toy later. This is Chris, my oldest brother. He's starting to get a little concerned that I am about to screw it up for everybody. Because that's just it, my parents had to bribe us into sitting on Santa's lap. We got a present to do it. My favorite part of this picture, though, is Santa. Look at this, look at that. He's like, you fucking, Jesus. So every picture of the three of us from the time that I was maybe a little younger than this up to a few years older is just like this, me screaming my little head off. So I've been ruining Christmases for a long time. And I thought that I can finally put that practice to good use and tell you all how to ruin Christmas for pretty much everyone involved. This time of year, I get these, the most popular email I think I get is from people who have questions about Santa. So for the months of November, December, I get this email dozens and dozens of times. This is an actual one. My children believe in Santa, and at this point I'm happy to let them enjoy this fantasy, as I do think that some moral lessons of giving and appreciation can come out of it. But I began wondering what you all do about the Christmas conundrum. If you really are skeptics to the core, will you allow your children to believe? Do you actively participate in keeping the myth alive? So I wanted to use this one specifically as an example because he says something really interesting in that first sentence, this idea of Santa morality. So before I go any further, let's just address what Santa morality is. So if you're good, you get toys. If you're bad, I'm sorry, but you have to sit on this guy's lap to do it, this creepy pervert's lap. But if you don't get anything at all if you're bad or if you're poor. I don't think it's necessarily the best lesson in morality to be given kids. But I think there are other points against and for Santa Claus. And there are a few prominent atheists out there who criticize Santa quite severely. One is Tom Flynn, who wrote a whole book on the subject, The Trouble with Christmas. There's one Tom Flynn fan. No, he's a good guy, he's a good writer. And he wrote this thing about hating on Santa. And some of the common complaints that people have about Santa Claus are that he encourages materialism, causes psychological damage, discourages skepticism, forces parents to lie. These are the big ones that I saw again and again and again. And so I thought I would address these a bit. Starting with the encourages materialism thing, I think is a pretty good point. I think it sort of does, I think it probably ruined me in that regard, because every Christmas I just demand just dozens and dozens of presents. Although it's weird because it doesn't have to be anything expensive, or I just like unwrapping tons. It makes me feel loved because now I have a big pile of presents. So I think that there is a bit of a point there. It does sort of encourage materialism. However, you can, if you're teaching your kids about Santa, you can subvert that a bit, and you can, just not give your kids so many presents, or you can teach them how, they can help Santa give toys to the poor and things like that. There are ways around that one. So let's skip to the next one, the idea that it causes psychological damage. I find it really interesting, and I looked into the research, the actual science of Santa. I was looking for like a picture of the most evil Santa I could find, and like, come on, of course, Futurama. So, what is the science, as we know it, on Santa Claus? And there has been a bit of research, and what I found, 90% of all death row inmates in the US believed in Santa. Also, 100% of children in Santa studies died. Or will, eventually. Prove me wrong. The actual science on Santa is that Santa does not, in fact, screw you up. There have been a lot of surveys of kids who asking them how they feel about when they find. Are there any children in the audience? Probably should have asked it earlier. Huh? No, okay, good. Who cares? No conscience. So yeah, surveys of kids asking them, how they felt when they found out that the Santa thing was all a big, horrible lie. And it turns out the vast majority of them were pretty happy with it. They actually felt a sense of accomplishment for figuring it out. And they felt like it made them older, like they were an older kid now. They didn't need Santa anymore. So for the most part, from what we understand, is that it doesn't screw you up. And in fact, it can be helpful. There have been a lot of studies on the idea of how children fantasize and their imaginative play. And this is one of them, a doctor in a book called Imaginary Companions and the Children Who Create Them. She summarized a lot of the research on it. She found things like this, like preschoolers that had imaginary friends, they were just in general more likely to be creative, social, and empathetic. And this played out for imaginary friends, for belief in fairies and fantastical creatures like dragons and unicorns. And they found again and again that these children tended to be really well adjusted. So there's not necessarily any harm in letting kids enjoy a fantasy. I'll talk about one study really quickly because I like it, the Candy Witch. And this is a study done back in 2004 in which researchers introduced children to a myth that they made up. And in this case, it was the Candy Witch. And it was this Halloween time magical creature. And actually, I Googled to find like a photo to illustrate, and this is the first result. which personally, I feel that this is really inappropriate for therapists, psychologists to be using with children, but leaving that aside. So they made up this, I'll just leave it on this for a while. You're welcome. So what they did, they made up this creature. The Candy Witch is a witch who visits on Halloween and leaves a bunch of candy, under your pillow or something like that. And they taught this myth to children of many different age ranges. I think something like 4 years old to 8 or so. And the findings were really interesting. They actually split them up, and they had some of the kids, they just learned this tale. They were just told this tale of the Candy Witch. And some of them were told the tale, and then their parents put candy in their bedroom, in accordance to what the myth suggested. And so afterwards, they quizzed these kids on whether or not they believed in the Candy Witch. And what they found was, first of all, of course, the kids who actually saw candy in their room were more likely to believe in the Candy Witch. But also interesting is that they found that older kids were more likely to believe in the Candy Witch than younger kids. And the reason why that they've figured out from this study and also many other similar studies is that the older kids were using logic and evidence in order to figure out if it's true or not. So the older kids who actually got candy were much, much, much more likely to believe. The younger kids who got candy didn't really mean that much to them because they weren't really able to process it in terms of this is evidence for that. And if that evidence wasn't there, then that means that the Candy Witch is less likely to exist. They didn't figure that out. So they found the same thing with any sort of myth, including Santa. And so I was reading this and I was thinking, in terms of the Candy Witch, which would be more helpful? Let's say your kid was in this study and they ended up believing in the Candy Witch. Is it more helpful to tell the kids to ignore the evidence they've just seen and believe you, just take you at your word now? Or is it more helpful to continue to let them figure it out for themselves, to continue giving them more evidence until they figure out whether or not there actually is a Candy Witch? And I think it's the same with Santa. It is the same with Santa. Santa's exactly like the Candy Witch, only a lot less sexy. Santa, for children, is a rational belief. The presents show up. The cookies they left out are eaten. They sit on his lap. I saw him. And they have got strong anecdotal evidence. All of their peers also agree that Santa exists. Even if their parents don't believe in Santa, they still got this huge peer group who do. So all they're doing is using logic and evidence to come to this decision that Santa exists. So which is more helpful? Just telling them, oh, there's no such thing, don't listen to your friends? Or is it more helpful to let them figure it out? I would argue the latter. So, that takes care of, I think, both, we've talked about the psychological damage and this idea that it discourages skepticism, and I don't think it does. I think it actually encourages skepticism because it's happening during that time where kids are learning how to use logic and evidence. So that brings us to this idea that Santa is bad because it forces parents to lie. We talked about this on the Skeptic's Guide to the Universe, and because that's where we get most of these emails. It's from listeners to SGU. And my co-hosts on this show are a bit more, they've got a bit more to say on the subject than I do, since they actually have children. And they address it in what I think is an interesting way. They don't tell their kids that Santa exists, but of course the kids pick up this idea from their peers. And they never come out and say, there is no Santa. They just encourage the kids to continue asking questions, which, if you think about it, goes in line with what I was just talking about. It helps the kids, be skeptical. I am of the opinion that if I have children, I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to lie to my kids about everything. No, seriously, everything. I'm not just talking about Santa. I mean, fairies and the unicorns and monsters under their bed and anything to terrify them. I'm just going to lie nonstop. And if their father wants to be a good skeptic and truthful authority, whatever, then he can step in and try to catch up and debunk everything that I'm spewing. But good luck. Because, Mark Twain, I think, said something about a lie can make it halfway around the world while the truth is still putting on its shoes. So yeah, I'm going to lie to them. And I think that lying is a good thing because lying teaches kids to be skeptical of authority. I'll know the day I've succeeded as a parent when I say something to my kid and my kid says, "Bullshit, Mommy." Not again. I bought into that sexy candy witch stuff. Not again. And the thing is, if you do lie, it can be helpful later on. So, maybe later on, for you atheists out there, are there any atheists here? Couple of you. When eventually, they're gonna hear about Jesus, and I think it could be really helpful to say, hey, remember how we used to lie to you about Santa, and how funny that was for us? Well, it's the same thing with the Jesus, and remember that time I said I was taking you to Disney World and I dropped you off at the orphanage? That's what happens when you die. They're important life lessons. So yeah, I think the line is good because it teaches your kids to question you. And also, I think line is good because it's really funny. I don't know if you've ever lied to a kid, but it's the funniest thing ever. They will believe anything, at a certain age. And it's better when they start getting skeptical, because then you got to keep on your toes, But it's a lot of fun. And those of us who grew up with Calvin and Hobbes, we know, right? Calvin's dad he's my hero. He's my parental hero. So yeah, I'm gonna, I'm gonna lie to my kids, but I'm not actually going to teach them about Santa, or at least not the American idea of Santa, because frankly, it's boring. Big fat jolly man delivers presents, whatever. Other cultures have more interesting myths around Christmas time. I'm particularly fond of this guy. If you ever wondered why the Germans are really fucked up, allow me to introduce you to Krampus. Krampus is, they have a Santa-type fellow who comes around and gives you presents. But Germany and also northern Italy, a couple of other countries, they have Krampus as Santa's like BFF. Santa rewards the good kids with the presents, but they don't do that coal stuff. Krampus is a demon with like a long tongue and chains and horns, and he pulls your hair, and he rides your rocking horse as you, for some reason, don't move. Get off! Get off the horse. He's right behind you. Here he is with it. I swear I'm not making this up. That is a child hanging from a pitchfork. It's terrifying. This is how you know I'm tired. I'm making myself laugh so much I'm crying. Oh, Krampus. Who will you kill next? I found this photo. So we have our kids sit on Santa's lap, and this is what they do to their children in Germany. That is an actual photograph of a baby sitting on a demon's lap, pulling his tongue. And just as comparison, this is what I would look like. Like, man, they are badass, these Germans. I'm not going to teach my kids about Krampus either, though, because Krampus is all right, but I found something scarier. And that's the Icelandic Yule lads. And the Yule lads are very interesting in that there's, instead of one Santa, there are usually 12 or 13 Yule lads. And, well, let me just, this is directly from Wikipedia. Early on, their number and depictions varied greatly depending on location, with each individual lad ranging from mere pranksters to homicidal monsters who eat children. Eat children. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, but Krampus probably gnawed on a few babies in his time. Surely they can't be more frightening than Krampus. You're wrong. And I'm just going to show you a few. And I've ordered them in what I feel goes from, less terrifying to more terrifying. So first up, we have pot liquor. See, the thing is, each one, its name, it pretty much does what it says on the tin. Pot liquor, and each one comes on a different night leading up to Christmas. So pot liquor, on his night, he sneaks in to your kitchen, he takes out a pot, he licks it, puts it back. How fucked up is that? But he's not the only one in this vein. There's also his brother, Spoon Liquor. Spoon Liquor sneaks into your house, opens a drawer, pulls out a spoon, licks it, puts it back. Why? And then there's their brother, Bowl Liquor. Bowl Liquor sneaks into your house, takes out a bowl, licks it, puts it back. Wash your dishes. Every morning, just to be safe. And I think in this case, Bowl Liquor is the scariest because he's wearing a hat with a hairy testicle on the end. I don't know where he got it. I don't know. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. Just leave me alone, Bowl Liquor. This is sheepcoat clod. Sheepcoat clod is Well, he's got peg legs for a start. And yeah, it is going to get scarier. Sheepcoat Claude, what he does, he comes one night, just fucks with your sheep. Just kicks them. That's it. Oh, he's got one in his little bag. He's not taking it, he's just fucking with it. Jerk. Door sniffer. Just pokes his head in, has a sniff, leaves. That's it. Pervert. It gets worse. I would like to introduce you to Window Peeper. And again, the name says it. Window Peeper comes one night, looks in your window. Close the curtains. Close the curtains, lock up your sheep, wash the dishes. All right? God damn it, Iceland. This is why Bjork happened. There's one more that I feel is worse even than Window Peeper, and that is sausage eater. So, yeah. Just look at it. That's what he does. It's not the fact that he eats your sausage, it's the way. It's the way he does it. It's his general manner as he eats your enormous sausage. I don't actually know if he's very tiny or if the sausage is very big. They need like a $1 bill there for, you know. I don't know. The lads, they're not alone. They have parents who are trolls, and they'll kill you, whatever. At this point, you're like, yeah, sure, of course, they'll kill you. They will kill your kids. Scarier than that, though, is the fact that they have a cat. And I couldn't actually find a picture of the cat, so I thought this was cute, so I put it up. The cat will murder you, but he will only murder you if you don't buy a new piece of clothing by Christmas. Why? Why, Iceland? Why? He's just some sort of murderous feline fashion police. Like, oh, sweetie, I know that spring is so, that skirt is so last spring. Like, that is not new. You cannot fool me. Rah. So yeah, it's a killer cat. So I know what you're thinking at this point. You're thinking, you know, Rebecca, I don't have kids, but I still want to ruin Christmas for someone. But for whom shall I ruin it? Or you might be thinking, but who will I ruin it for? Here. Stupid. Let's be honest, you're not all that smart. I like to pretend. So let's imagine a line, and at one end, we've got the atheists who are angry and at Santa and don't like Christmas. And then at the other end, we have the fundamentalist Christians who desperately want to protect Christmas. And then in the middle, we've got a bunch of people who don't give a shit. Okay. So I would recommend that you ignore them, because in order to piss them off, you have to be one of the other two. And that's not fun. So, you know, if you want to piss off the atheists, I would recommend that you do something like, I don't know, go to a skeptics conference and give a talk about how they're wrong about everything. It's much more fun, though, I think, to piss off the other guys. So I would like to, for the rest of my talk, just talk about the fundies. And this is something that you might get this year and every year from your crazy aunt who just forward. You'll love this. No. Want to have some fun this Christmas? Send the ACLU a Christmas card this year. Now we already know it's going to be crazy. Why? Because it's super caps lock. It's just, you know, normal, sane people who are just like, hey, Merry Christmas. No, they don't use all caps. But these guys do. And then what this email says is that the ACLU is suing the government to take away Christmas. Take it away from everyone. No one gets Christmas. And we're going to stop them by sending them Christmas cards by the millions. Because, as the email goes, they will have to open them all, because one of them might be a donation. So and it's going to be, there's so much mail, it's just going to clog their operations, and they're done. We're going to bring down the ACLU with Christmas cards. So I wanted to briefly mention this just in case you do get this, so you can respond. Forward. You know, no, I don't like this. The ACLU is not suing anybody to take away Christmas. They do occasionally have lawsuits to protect the separation of church and state. However, Christians are more than welcome to celebrate Christmas in their own homes. The ACLU does not care. That's number one. Number two is that most of the ACLU's money doesn't come from random cards they get in the mail. Oh, nothing this week. No, they have big donors. That's where they get all their money. So, you know, and the other thing is that they're a rather large organization. So, yeah, they can probably hire an intern for a few weeks opening up your stupid Christmas cards. So, good job, way to spend that money uselessly. But it's not just anonymous family members and whatnot who are crazy about this. There are actual organizations out there who really, really love Christmas to the point where they get angry if you don't recognize Christmas, and if you don't recognize that they like Christmas, and constantly reassure them that Christmas exists and is okay. One of those organizations is the Liberty Council, and every year they put out a list, two lists actually, a naughty list and a nice list. What they do is they go to companies, they go to websites and things like that, and they figure out how many times the word Christmas is mentioned, things like that. And if a company doesn't mention Christmas, then it's on the naughty list. And if they do, and they're all about the Christmas thing, they go on the nice list. And they send out this list to, you know, whatever, millions of crazy people. And that's how they decide where to do their Christmas shopping this year. So on the naughty list, we've got Disney. They hate Disney. You know, that goddamn mouse hates Christmas. And their problem was that the only Christmas things on the website were vintage Mickey. I guess that's not good enough for them. Garmin, the people who make the sat-nav stuff, no Christmas. Anything from the Gap. They really hate the Gap. The Gap, Old Navy, Banana Republic, the whole thing. So there would be no purchasing anything from those companies for the fundies. Also on the naughty list was Best Buy. And I liked the description they included with this one, why Best Buy ended up on the naughty list. In the store, happy holiday sign and decorated tree, Kahir, mumbled "you too" response when consumer wished him have a Merry Christmas. Seriously? Yes. Yes, seriously. He just wasn't Christmassy enough, and therefore, no Best Buy. On the nice list, we've got Dollar General. I assume that that's one of those places where everything's $1, you know, or military supply, I don't know. Honey baked ham. Honey baked ham is perfect. It's all right to do your Christmas shopping there this year. Chick-fil-A. These companies have done a good job of mentioning Christmas, and therefore, this year, that's what you're getting. But fear not if you can't find an appropriate gift from one of these guys, because Liberty Council itself has a shop that they recommend you go to. And here are some of the things in their shop. We've got the 10 Commandments bracelet. We've got your children's patriotic song CD and book. And my personal favorite, the New England Primer. And this is a textbook. It's a great Christmas gift for your children or grandchildren. And you can see their happy, shiny little faces on Christmas Day opening this up. Introduced in Boston Public Schools in 1690, for the next 2 centuries, the Primer was a required textbook from which every first grader learned grammar and spelling. Things, letter A, the student learned "In Adam's fall we sinned all." The letter C, the students recited "Christ crucified for sinners died." Cheery, cheery. But does anybody else know, do you notice any irony in them offering their Primer as a Christmas present? Anyone? Anyone catch this? Okay, let me tell you. In the 17th century, when the primer was introduced, they fucking hated Christmas. They hated it. It was outlawed. They considered things like exchanging gifts and greetings, dressing in fine clothing, feasting, and similar satanic practices. They saw it as this secular celebration that forgot the whole Jesus being born malarkey. And so they outlawed it. And if you celebrated, that's 5 shillings. So yeah, I enjoy the fact that they're offering this Puritan book as their Christmas presents, because it shows that they are completely and entirely ignorant of even their own religion. And speaking of, I don't know if you've seen this, but a trailer came out for this movie recently. The movie itself was supposed to come out in November. I keep looking for it. I can't find it. It's direct to DVD. Shocking. Basically, well, I'm going to show you the trailer, and I apologize, but my free open source presentation software can't friggin' play movies. So I'm just going to do it the hard way. That's a bunny I drew. His name's Mopsy. No, don't do that. Oh, hold on. Pay no attention to any of this. It's all fine. Let's try this. Yeah, there we go.
In Trapper Falls, Alaska, Christmas is the biggest celebration of the year.
This is the only time of year the entire world has this shared experience of peace and hope for the future. Merry Christmas!
But that's all about to change.
Mitch Bright stopped by town today.
High school Mitch Bright?
You had a high school rival? So what did you guys compete over?
Football, basketball, mom. I won that once. Why would he come back here after so many years? What's he after?
A formal complaint has been filed about the town Christmas decorations.
Who filed this complaint? The Grinch?
Mitch Bright.
Now, to save Christmas,
Joe, what are you doing?
Season's greetings?
It works for everybody.
Doesn't work for me.
He hates God. He doesn't want equal representation of religion. He wants none.
You really care about City Hall decorations?
So I do have a problem with Christmas. And all the rest of the garbage you Christians have been jamming down my throat.
Dan must save his job.
You want to run for mayor of this town, try to change it? You go ahead, try it.
Get the help of his friends.
Mitch Bright has a personal vendetta against me.
You can't have a religious display on the site. Honey, please come down.
Back off! We are not going to cave in.
To defend the reason for the season.
It's not going anywhere.
You heard what the judge said then.
That doesn't mean that you could ruin Christmas for everybody else here. I'm not going to let you hold this town hostage.
Ted McGinley.
Just because God's out of vogue in the big city doesn't mean we throw him away like last summer's fashion magazine.
Brad Stein.
Christians happen to have started the United States of America.
Christmas starts with a capital C. Christ the Lord is the center of Christmas.
Christmas with a capital C.
Yep. So I really enjoyed this trailer. I really cannot wait. I cannot wait to watch the movie. And this guy is my favorite because I hope this holds true for the entire movie, but in the trailer, everything this guy said was wrong. This guy did not say a single right thing in that whole trailer. For instance, this is the only time of year the entire world has the shared experience of peace and hope for the future. Merry Christmas. The entire world. The entire world. Most of the world. The entire world. This part of the world. Just bought some beachfront property in Russia. It's gonna be awesome. Or Christians happen to have started the United States of America. I particularly like this screenshot. Yeah, no, actually they didn't. They didn't. And the founding fathers sort of went out of their way to repeatedly say, nothing to do with Christianity here. Move along, move along. So I was thinking about this trailer, and it occurred to me that with this crazy character in there who's obviously wrong about everything, maybe the trailer was just edited in such a way as to give us the wrong view of the movie. Maybe the people we think from watching the trailer who are the bad guys are actually the good guys. And the ones that seem like good guys in the trailer are actually insane. And to that end, I put a lot of effort into this for you guys. I made my own trailer, Christmas at the Capital C. So I'm gonna show you. I'm hey Mopsy. I'm just gonna show you. And I don't know if can we brighten it at all? Like, no, we're not. Why did I? Can you guys see it okay? Oh, okay, all right. It's fine. Because, I mean, it's really important to me that you, oh, wow. That's good. I'm glad that my version is gonna get the attention it deserves. Guys, I put so much work into this, okay? So, yeah, here we go.
You want to run for mayor of this town, try to change it?
You go ahead, try it.
Why would he come back here after so many years?
Mitch Bright has a personal vendetta against me.
Please come down.
Back up!
Not going anywhere.
You heard what the judge said.
I'm going to hold this town hostage.
Joe, what are you doing? Season's greetings?
It works for everybody.
Doesn't work for me.
Christmas with a capital C.
So much work, you guys. Seriously, I spent days on that. So yeah. So what I'm going to say to you, basically, is this is how you ruin Christmas for the fundies. You run for mayor. You move to a small town first, maybe one you grew up in. Doesn't matter. Run for mayor, outlaw Christmas. Maybe run on another platform. You know, like, I don't know, like tax-free stuff for churches. Oh wait, no, they already have that. You know, it's just something else that you think they'll like, and then just boom, no Christmas. Outlaw it, and then something, and then profit. The way to do it. They already ruined it themselves, let's be honest. They have made themselves into the laughingstock of the internet. And they're really stressing themselves out over this whole Christmas thing. And so the best way, I think, that you can ruin Christmas for the fundies is to simply enjoy it more than they obviously do. And as a way to encourage you to do that, I want you to realize that what happens when religions push their observances out into the public, out into the secular sphere, the secular sphere doesn't get more religious. The stuff they're putting out there gets more secular. And, you know, it's happened in the past. Thanksgiving, I think, is a recent example. Pretty much every American I know celebrates Thanksgiving in some way, and every atheist American I know celebrates Thanksgiving. And what do you think the thanks is? It was originally meant to give thanks to God. But these days, we use that time to give thanks to our friends and family. We've turned it from some bullshit, like, you know, praying to God around the dinner table all the time stuff to actually enjoying our time with our friends and family, and that's a really great thing. So we successfully waged and won a war on Thanksgiving already. To give you one other example, Mother's Day. This is a bit truer in the UK, where it's known as Mothering Day, and they celebrate it there just the same way we do here. You visit with your mom, you have dinner, you get her a card. But it started as a day when people who had left their hometowns were meant to come back to go to the mother church. It was a day to bring people back into the large cathedrals in the towns. And over the years, it slowly morphed. over centuries even. It morphed into this idea of it's actually, you're going back home and you're celebrating your actual mother. And these days, I suspect that most people in the UK celebrate Mothering Day and don't realize its origins at all. And the US date for Mother's Day, and probably a bit of the idea, was borrowed from the idea of Mothering Day. So it can be done. We've done it before. But the way to do it, of course, isn't outlawing Christmas. It's to keep doing what we do. I'm a fan of Christmas, and even though I'm an atheist, I think it's an awesome secular holiday when we can get together and show our family and friends that we love them in a perfectly secular way. So I'm going to encourage you all to go out there and win the war on Christmas just by enjoying it. That's all I've got. Thank you very much, everyone. Oh, you guys.